Capping off what's already been an exciting weekend here at the Daytona International Speedway, welcome everybody to race number 1 of Division 2 of the NNSCRA Season 1 Skittles Super Speedway Series. Getting ready for 30 laps of racing here today. We already saw the Division 1 drivers yesterday, in which Brady Burkhart took his first checkered flag of his NSRA career. Will we see history made here today in Division 2? We're going to have to wait and see. And also we got to wonder as well, is this race going to parallel a lot of what we saw in the Division 1 race? In the Division 1 race, we saw it come down to about maybe 7 or 8 drivers in the closing stages. None of them were teammates. Your friends were where you found them. And we also had a total of 3 cautions, 3 big wrecks actually take place in that race. Will we see things a little more calmer today, or will we be seeing the big one rear its ugly head multiple times before the conclusion of today's event? Only time will tell. But this division had a very exciting qualifying session as well. As you see our front row, J Galloway and William Brock, they put on quite a show in the closing stages of round 2, the final round of Division 2 qualifying, where it was looking like it was going to be William Brock on the pole and Jake Galloway in second, but with about 10 seconds remaining in the last round of qualifying, Jake Galloway was able to just barely edge William Brock. I believe it was either by 3 or 4 1/1000ths of a second to gain the pole position for the start of today's race. So William Brock will line up on the outside of the front row alongside of Jake Galloway. Then you got Benny Watson. He had a great qualifying session. He's going to start this race in third with N Ormond fourth. J Shelly, former Pizza Hut X Series champion, lining up there in the 5th position. And we're going to talk about backup cars in just a moment. But before we do that, let's go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports here at Daytona.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the reason I want to talk about backup cars is because in comparison to our first division's qualifying session here at Daytona, the first division was relatively tame. We had 3 drivers start the first division race in backup cars. We have a total of 8 drivers that are starting at the rear of the field here today due to backup cars, due to wrecks that took place in the first round of qualifying for Division 2. They include the following: Caleb Farrell, Sadal Salera, Simon Salera, Kyle Langeland, Charles Sanford, John Andrews, Alex Benyako, and also Adam Garcia, who is in his second backup car. He was involved in 2 different wrecks in our qualifying session. So we're going to have to see how those drivers do, as they'll be at the rear of the field. But if anything, yesterday's Division 1 race proved it's not where you start, it's where you finish, as the eventual winner, Brady Burkhart, started off yesterday's race mid-pack from the 21st position. So we'll see what takes place during the course of today's race. 30 laps of racing. We basically are able to use our first race, our Division 1 race, is a little bit of a template for this race, so we know for absolute certain, based off of what we saw in yesterday's events, these drivers cannot make it the full 30 laps on 1 tank of fuel. They will have to come to pit road at some point in time. Question is, will it be under green or will it be under caution? We also only had 22 drivers finish yesterday's Division 1 race. 21 of them on the lead lap, which means we had a total of 18 cars that did not finish out that race due to the carnage that took place. They finished behind the wall. So will we see that today? I don't know. It's a little bit sunnier today than it was yesterday. Yesterday we had a little bit more of an overcast condition, so with it being a little bit hotter, track might be a little bit slicker, which makes me think we're going to see these cars moving and dancing around quite a bit, and we are more than likely, I think, going to see at least one big one here today. But the front row, Jake Galloway and William Brock, they'll bring us down, and for the first time for Division 2 this season, we are green flag racing. Let's roll at Daytona. As you can hear them getting up through the gears, they enter into turn 1. It's going to take them about a full lap to get up to full speed. These drivers going to be going near over 200 miles per hour. And they are already 3 wide all the way through the pack. Almost 4 wide back there with Simon Bloomfield. They settle it back to 3 wide before the exit of turn 2. That is most fortunate. James Shelly with a big run. He's got Patrick Smith helping him on the bottom. Now he's going to move even lower, get help from his backmarker Motorsports teammate, the 19 of Carson Gum. James Shelly riding Cloud 9 after winning the Pizza Hut X Series Championship. And now he wants to lead the very first race here the very first lap here of the first race at Daytona. He succeeds in doing so, but not before it's a 3-wide battle into turn 1. That's Rob Evans in the 65 going for the top position. Ooh, Keith Batson got really close to the left rear quarter panel of Carson Gum right there. That was rather nerve-wracking. As now Evans going to move to the lead. Cody Llamas there, that Lowe's Chevy. He's going to move to second, but here comes Michael Norman back behind the driver's seat in the number 3 Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Chevy Camaro. He wants to go out in front here at his home track of Daytona. Look at the whole field, 3 wide from the front all the way to the very back. They're only single file up here in the top 3 positions, double wide for 4th, and then 3 wide the remainder of the field as here comes Norman with the run to the inside of Evans. Tristan Allen, the Dustless Blaster Chevy Camaro now heading the inside line. He's got Trey Wright in the 34 right behind him. Nathan Stapleton, who started near the rear of the field. He's now up here towards the front along with the 14 of Eric Sadler. So just a case in point of how quickly you can move from the back to the front. Stapleton started 27th and Sadler started 29th. They're now up to Ps 3 and 4 at this point in time. Chevy, Ford, Toyota as they cross the line. Norman, Wright, and Stapleton. And then it's a Dodge in Eric Sadler. And now Trey Wright's going to look for the top position. Now a couple of Dodges working together. Eric Sadler's got Jeff Scott in tow. Scott, who was a 2-time winner in the Last of Us Light Series last season. And there you see on the inside line Charles Sanford back there. That is a backup car. Actually, 2 backup cars nose to tail, as he's also got Simon Salera, the number 4, right behind him. 3 wide into 3. Sadler is going to get the spot, bringing Charles Sanford along with him. Really impressed that these drivers have been able to run as aggressively as they have, 3 wide, multiple rows deep, and still we have been able to keep it green for the moment. I probably just jinxed it. They're probably going to wreck coming down here to turn 1. That'd be just my luck as a commentator. And now Charles Sanford is going to go to the top position. Backup car from the back to the front. Started 37th, and after 5 laps, he's leading the race here at Daytona. Kind of ironic, he's leading the race. William Brock, who started on the outside of the front row, he's dead last. So the entire field just basically flipped reversed. Jordan Lopez now up there to the 3rd position, and there you see that orange and green car. That is Adam Garcia, who is in his 2nd backup car this weekend. Looks pretty good as he's been able to work his way up to the top 5, bringing the 08 of Alex Gray along with him. And in 6th place, that is John Andrews, the Team Sonic Racing Chevrolet. He was also a driver that had to go to a backup car. So right now, out of our top 6, 4 drivers are drivers that had to go to backup machines. That's the wonderful thing about super speedways, though. If you don't have the best car, as long as you're in the draft, it can make your car a whole lot better. As now Simon Salera, that Doritos Cool Ranch Chevy, he wants to get a lap led here and get a bonus point. Can he get Sanford at the line is the question. Sanford trying to get the side draft. It's going to work. He's going to still lead another lap. Salera going to have to try and get that bottom line formulated, and it's not going to do much because Alex Gray's now going to force the issue 3 wide. He wants the top position, and he has help in the form of John Andrews and Nathan Stapleton. Look at how this field is moving around there in the middle of the pack. Drivers oscillating from high line to middle line. Oh, we got a car that's actually going to the apron, and I think they just wrecked. Maybe they just scraped the wall. I can't tell. Is the caution out? It is not. They saved it. Whatever just happened, they saved it. And that is amazing. The car on the bottom was Trey Wright. He was on the apron. He came up into traffic. I heard a couple of cars scrape the wall, but somehow, some way, we did not have a caution. And that's worthy of an NNSCRA split cam that you will see what just happened. Tremendous job by everyone to avoid that from being a yellow flag. And if we manage to make it to the midway point of this race without a caution, we'll have beat Division 1 by 2 yellow flags. At the midway point of our Division 1 race yesterday, there were 2 cautions that had already flown. As now Stapleton to the lead. And you can see, though, that while the drivers did a tremendous job of keeping it green flag without wrecking, it did split the field up quite a good bit, as we've got maybe, I would say, 12, 13, 14 cars up in this lead pack. But the field's starting to form back up. They're 3 wide in this lead pack. They're single file back behind them, so the field's going to bunch up rather quickly, I would say. Let's actually, while we're looking at Stapleton here, leading a 3-wide battle for second behind him, let's drop back and see who might have been affected by that incident. Kyle Langeland has now lost the draft. Keith Batson, J Galloway, Patrick Smith all back here, but I think they're still in the draft, and all this group right here trying to form back up and catch back up to the lead group, which I think they're succeeding in doing. That's right there. We're looking at Salera in the 30, William Flickinger just ahead of him in the 44. They had lost the draft, and with them racing 3 wide up here at the front, they've been able to catch back up. And you can see everybody back there. Looks like they're all going to be able to catch back up to this lead group. So the one car that's going to be affected the most, I think, because of what we just saw take place, that near wreck, is probably going to be the 62 of Kyle Langeland. So now he is probably the one driver in this field that is hoping and praying for a caution flag. If we don't see the caution, though, we may, for the first time this weekend, see green flag pit stops here at Daytona. And that's certainly going to shake the field up a good bit, as Josh Drake now going for second place there. He's got Alexander Rowe right behind him, and Levi McIntire also there in the 99. Got some new players up here towards the front of the field, but it's all going on in a battle for second behind the race leader, Nathan Stapleton, who out of all of the Otter Island Motorsports cars really was maybe the worst performing in qualifying. His 2 teammates, Benny Watson and Jesse Turner, they made it to the second round of qualifying. Carter Friesen qualified 28th for the Division 1 race yesterday and DNF'd. As now Toyota 1, 2. Actually 1, 2, and 5 right now for the Camrys, as William Flickinger just moved up into 5th, and now Alexander Rowe wants a turn at the front. And it sounds like they're slowing down. We are under caution, and they're wrecking in the trial. Well, that's a pole sitter, J Galloway, hard into the outside retaining wall. Must have been a wreck out of turn 4. I didn't hear them wrecking, and it was so far back I didn't see them wrecking. But we have hit a caution here on lap number 12. It's our first of the day, and Stapleton beat Alexander Rowe to the start-finish line, so he will lead us under caution in the first position. Daniel Voyles was involved, his teammate Kyle Langeland as well, so both the World NOS Racing Ford Fusions collected in this one. There is the pole sitter, J Galloway. The whole right front is gone off his Sports Clips Camaro. Benny Watson, who qualified this race up inside of the top 10, he is involved. William Brock, our entire front row might have been involved, as he qualified second. And also damage on the left side of Rob Evans, number 65. Looks like there could be right side damage on Trey Wright. There is. I don't know if that was maybe from the incident that took place earlier where we almost had a caution, or if that was from this wreck that took place here on lap 12. But pit road is open. Everyone's going to come to pit lane, and I believe this is the caution that is going to nullify any possibility of these drivers having to make green flag pit stops. So let's go back, take a look at a replay of what brought out the caution for the first time here today at Daytona. Our pole sitter collected up in this one. It's going to start with Daniel Voyles, and he kind of puts himself in a very awkward position off turn 4 here. There you see he's in the middle line. Looks like he wants to move up in front of Jordan Lopez. Then he realizes Lopez is there, tries to get back down in front of Nathan Ormond, and then just finally decides to try and force his way in front of Lopez, and Lopez wasn't going to let him in. Voyles into the wall, and then right there is where Galloway gets involved, rips the whole right front off of his race car, and nowhere for Benny Watson to go as he's trapped up on the outside line and completely pummels the 26. Now, Kyle Langeland was sitting on pit road, and he had lost the draft, I believe, so where does he come into view here? There he is. I don't think he hits his teammate. He might run into the back of Benny Watson, perhaps. Let's see. Well, there's William Brock. We had another incident off the exit of the Tri-Oval. Langeland trying to swing around William Brock. The car is completely out from under him, and he just completely nails the 79 of Watson, giving Watson even more damage. But something happened out of the exit of the Tri-Oval. I think maybe William Brock might have gotten into Galloway. Let's see. Focused on Brock here. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, Rob Evans gets into the back of Galloway. And then he goes down into William Brock. And Jeff Scott in the 35 also got a piece of that too. Not really any visible damage on his Dodge, but he was involved. And that's where the skid marks hitting the commitment cone came from, the SunTrust Camaro. There you see Langeland coming into view. Galloway's car is already teleported to pit road. And look at Langeland. Watch right here where he turns to the left. Now he's no longer in control of that car. That car is sliding around. And just the worst place for him to be. And slams into the back of Benny Watson. So that is what brought out the caution for the first time here today. About 6-7 cars involved. And all three of our top qualifiers, first, second, third, all involved in this one. The pole sitter Galloway, second qualifier William Brock, and third place qualifier Benny Watson. Let's go back for the restart. Well, a lot of drivers did a good job getting it done, getting through that wreck, not making it any bigger of a pileup than it was, and a number of crews got it done on pit road. Stapleton came out the race leader, but he'll have Levi McIntyre now lined up behind him in second, Caleb Farrell there in third, William Flickinger fourth, and Alexander Rowe, who came in second. His team dropped the ball and lost him a couple of spots as he's going to restart back in fifth. Then it's going to be Sadal Salera, he'll be sixth, seventh Josh Drake, Alex Gray in eighth, John Andrews ninth, and Zachary Fitzwater is going to complete your top 10. 4 drivers out of the race after the wreck we saw in the Tri-Oval, including Benny Watson, Kyle Langeland, Jake Galloway, and Daniel Voyles. So certainly not the Daytona race they were looking for. 36 cars still running, all 36 still on the lead lap. Let's go a little bit further down the running order here. We've got Simon Salera restarting 11th, Charles Sanford 12th. 13th place is going to be Adam Garcia. 14th is Dylan Young, Michael Norman 15th. Chris Maley 16th. 17th place is O Balvin. 18th will be Cody Llamas, James Shelly, and Nathan Ormond complete your top 20. Then it's Jake Hallec 21st. 22nd is Fury Gamington. 23rd is Alex Benyako with Simon Bloomfield 24th, and Jesse Turner is 25th. 26th, Tristan Allen. 27th, Vince Almariego. Carson Gum, 28th. 29th is going to be Eric Sadler with Jeff Scott in 30th. And the rest of the field is Keith Batson, 31st. 32nd, William Brock. Patrick Smith, 33rd. Rob Evans, 34th. 35th is T Wright. And completing the rest of the field in 36th, still running, is Jordan Lopez. As the green flag back in the air, 15 laps to go as we are midway through today's race at Daytona. Took us 12 laps before we saw our first caution. And reaching the midway point here, we have now had one caution less than Division 1 did up at this point. When we were at the midway point of Division 1 race, they were already working their second yellow of the day. Now, not to say that that incident with T Wright and everybody being able to save it probably should have been a yellow, but they saved it. We kept going. We've only got one yellow on record so far in today's event. Stapleton's had a strong car ever since getting out in front. He did have a challenge from Alexander Rowe when they raced back to the caution, but he was able to get him at the line, so we'll have to see if Stapleton's going to have any challenge here in the second half of this race. Caleb Farrell, who's in a backup car, but he was the fastest in qualifying, even though he had wrecked. He's going to go for the top spot, and I'm pretty certain, I'd have to look back through my notes, but I'm pretty certain that when Caleb Farrell set the fastest lap in round 1 of qualifying, I'm pretty sure he did it after he went to a backup car. So I'm pretty sure that backup car that he's driving is the one that set that fastest lap. So no surprise to see him work his way to the front. William Flickinger was trying to tuck in line behind the 96. Josh Drake's going to get the inside of him, though. He's got Alex Gray in tow. Oh, look out! Dylan Young's going to get turned off the nose of Alexander Rowe. Salera's collected as well. Second caution of the day. Oh, I couldn't tell just how fast those cars were spinning and how fast the cars behind them were approaching. But it was Alexander Rowe hooking Dylan Young into Salera, and I think Charles Sanford might have gotten a little bit of that as well. Either that or he got slowed up by it. Second caution is out, and for the second time today, it is off turn number 4. That is our trouble spot. Ooh, and I didn't like the way they were not slowing down back there. We almost had an incident with Jesse Turner and Charles Sanford and a couple of others. I think Alexander Rowe was back there. Chris Maley. Caution's out again. These drivers won't have to come to pit road. Let's see who got involved in this one. Oh, a lot of damage on the 14 of J Hallec. Oh, we got more drivers back here with damage, and I'm not certain this was from the wreck. This might have actually been from a stack up here under pacing. Tristan Allen, Keith Batson, Adam Garcia. It's also O'Neal Balvin, the 11. Patrick Smith on the apron. Zachary Fitzwater, a lot of damage. I don't know if this was from the wreck that took place out of 4 or if this was a stack up under pacing. Michael Norman's also got a lot of damage on the front and rear of his number 3. And while drivers don't need to come to pit road for fuel, I think some drivers are going to be coming to pit road to repair damage. Shelly's coming to pit road. Jeff Scott, Dylan Young, a lot of damage as well on the 95 of Nathan Ormond. You can see right there, the Lightning McQueen paint scheme. So the question is, did all these drivers get this damage from the incident out of turn 4 onto the front straightaway, or was it from a stack up under pacing? We're going to answer that question as we're going to take a look at our second caution of the day's replay at Daytona. Well, it's a very easy answer. Crash damage. Here's the incident coming off turn 4. Alexander Rowe all over the left rear quarter panel of Dylan Young, turns him down into the door of Charles Sanford. That's going to spin his car the wrong way. Sanford also going to clip Salera in the left rear, spins the Doritos Cool Ranch Chevy around. And then just watch how the track gets blocked up. Nowhere to go for any of these guys. There's Garcia. Shelly got a piece of it there with the right front. Ormond, Balvin, Norman. There's Hallec trapped on the outside, nowhere to go. Jeff Scott, damage on the passenger side door. There's Tristan Allen getting run into the back of by Patrick Smith. Carson Gum cuts the grass. William Brock and Trey Wright do a great job getting through as well. Rob Evans. Just everyone stacked up here, nowhere to go. Keith Batson did get into it there. Eric Sadler through the grass avoids. More contact there between Smith and Garcia, and then Balvin into the back of Garcia. And Fitzwater had already gotten damage as well. I don't know who he ran into the back of, but then he almost runs into the back of J Hallec. So there you see it. Yep, all these drivers with the crunched up front ends and everything, it was all crash damage due to that incident up there at the start-finish line, starting out of turn 4, making its way into the front straightaway. And it was right up at the front of the field there, too, with Rowe and Dylan Young. That was just inside the top 10, I think, and a lot of drivers piling in, not able to slow down in time. And just like that, we've got our second big wreck of the day, and we're probably going to have more retirees, as we will be restarting probably with less than 10 laps to go. So I thought maybe, just maybe, this was going to be one of those races where the garage area wasn't going to fill up, but for the second straight day, we have had multiple big wrecks, and the garage area is filled up with wrecked race cars. The most notable that have just recently retired include Dylan Young, J Hallec, also Adam Garcia, tough break for him after he was in his second backup car, Keith Batson, Salera, trying to remember these names, Nathan Ormond, Tristan Allen, Zachary Fitzwater, they've all gone to the garage area, O'Neal Balvin. And they join Benny Watson, Kyle Langeland, J Galloway, and Daniel Voyles in the garage areas. The green flag is back in the air. And we have 8 laps to go. No, I'm sorry, 9 laps to go here at Daytona. Now, out of the remaining drivers on track, they are all on the lead lap. And I believe we have 27 of them in total. Yes, 27 in total. A couple of drivers near the rear of the field that are damaged goods, but just trying to ride it out, get the best finish that they can. Is Caleb Farrell out in front here. Remember, as we said, this is a backup car for Caleb Farrell, but it was the same car he set the fastest lap in round 1 of qualifying for. Obviously, being in a backup car, he couldn't move on to round 2. But now Alex Gray right behind him there, the Exalta Chevrolet. And a couple of drivers that have been up inside the top 10 for a majority of this race have been that 44 of William Flickinger and the 72 of Nathan Stapleton. I'd keep my eyes on them because they've got fast race cars and been able to keep themselves up here towards the front of the field pretty much all race long. Cody Llamas now moves into 4th place. He's got a rear deck lid full of the Samsung Toyota of Chris Maley. Got a few Toyotas up here. Another Toyota right behind him and Simon Bloomfield. And there you see the Toyota of Nathan Stapleton going to the inside for 2nd on Alex Gray. And you look at the tail end of this draft as well. There's the number 56 of Vince Almariego, number 20 of Alan Bignacco. You've also got Carson Gum back there, Fury Gamington, Jesse Turner. So there's some drivers we haven't talked about yet today that could be up here in the closing stages of this race with a chance of starting out the season with a win. Toyota's already got a win with Brady Burkhart going to victory lane in the Division 1 race here yesterday, and Nathan Stapleton is all over the back bumper of Caleb Farrell. Now yesterday, Brady Burkhart went to victory lane from the 21st position. Right now, Caleb Farrell running up front started this race from 33rd. Stapleton started a little bit better in 27th. And now Simon Bloomfield, who's going to go for 2nd place, he started inside the top 15 in 14th place. Now look out, the cops are coming. The California Highway Patrol tribute car, the number 56 of Vince Almariego's up here, and also there's the 83 of Alexander Rowe, who triggered the last caution when he hooked Dylan Young in the left rear quarter panel out of turn 4. He's still running, still up to speed, and has a chance of winning this race. And let's not forget Alexander Rowe coming off a big win in the Royal Rumble, the 8th annual NNSCRA Royal Rumble a few weeks ago. So obviously knows how to get it done at the super speedway, since that was at Talladega, no walls revamped. And Simon Bloomfield has taken the race lead. There was a pretty coordinated move there by Bloomfield, Almariego, and Rowe at the time to all get around Caleb Farrell. I wonder if they all realize that 96 is strong and they all have to work together to gang up on him in order to pass him. So now Bloomfield in the Discord Camry out in front, Almariego into 2nd, and here come Cody Llamas and Levi McIntyre trying to get the inside line going. Alex Bignacco right there with him. Are they going to go 3 wide? Well, they're not going to go 3 wide where I thought they were going to go 3 wide. A little bit further back is the 3 wide formation. Simon Salera right there, that Doritos number 4. Oh, and the 20, problems for Alex Bignacco. He's just hit pit road as they're going to hit the line for 4 laps to go. I don't know if that's a regularly scheduled stop for the 20, but he's on pit lane. Let's see if this is regularly scheduled. Looks like he might not have gotten that car full of fuel when he came down pit road back on the midway point of this race when we had that second caution, and that's going to cost him quite a number of positions. Now I'm noticing as the field enters here into turn 3, you notice that James Shelly and Michael Norman are somewhat off the pace. They're heading into turn 1. The field just came out of turn 4, and Cody Llamas is now hitting pit road. So some of these teams, I guess, either they didn't get the car full of fuel or else none of these drivers are able to make it. Bignacco just gave up a possible top 10 finish to come to pit road. Same for Llamas, and now that throws a big question mark, I wonder, into the minds of these drivers. I bet they're asking their crew chief, hey, are we able to make it on fuel? Because a couple of those guys just peeled off onto pit road. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear the engines up ahead of Norman and Shelly. And we hit the line with 2 laps to go. Slower traffic could come into play in the outcome of this race. If you listen carefully, you can hear them just up ahead. Simon Bloomfield, the leader, all the pressure's going to be on him when and if they catch that slower traffic to make the right move and not get held up. Look at Caleb Farrell with a power move down to the inside. He's going to go 3 wide and take second. Levi McIntire is going to follow him through to third. And it looks like the first car they're going to catch is going to be Benyako, who is up to speed, but obviously is not in the draft. And then Cody Llamas. Those two drivers had to come to pit road here in the closing stages as Farrell's going for the lead. Caleb Farrell, they ganged up on him, moved him to the high side, took the top spot away from him. He's charged back to the front, and he's going to see the white flag this time. McIntire into second. Gray looking to move to third. Rowe to fourth. You can hear the engines ahead. Will they come into play before we reach the checkered flag? 3 wide per second. Alexander Rowe down to the bottom. That may ice it depending on what happens here with the traffic up ahead for Caleb Farrell. Up ahead, it's Shelly. Benyako getting around Shelly. So did Llamas. Shelly's going to be the car they're going to catch. The question is it going to be in 3 and 4 or at the start-finish line? Teammates, Toyota teammates there. Rowe and Maley, nose to tail. Another Toyota and Flickinger there in fourth. Can they make a run on the 96? They're closing on James Shelly, but will it be too little too late? Caleb Farrell's going to hold off Alexander Rowe. He'll get his first win of the season here today at Daytona and just catches Shelly after the start-finish line. Caleb Farrell in a backup car. We knew the car was fast. The backup car set the fastest lap in round 1 of qualifying. But he could not get good starting track position because of going to said backup car. Started this race from the 33rd position, drove to the front, and charged his way to the front there with about 3 laps to go. And I think we've got a car out of fuel back there. I think Jesse Turner in the 77 just barely made it on fuel to the start-finish line. So a couple of these drivers were really close apparently and almost risked a good finish with running out of fuel. Yeah, I think a couple other cars back here are out of fuel. I think the 4 of Simon Salera is out of fuel. Fury Gamington's out of fuel. Chris Maley's out of fuel. Brought it home 4th. Just barely had enough. There's Turner. Yeah, he was out of fuel. So is Carson Gum. Simon Bloomfield's out. Patrick Smith is out. There's a lot of them that are out of fuel. And Caleb Farrell is going to make the turn to victory lane. His first win of the season. What a start to the year for Caleb Farrell and that 96 car. Let's take a look at the full finishing results. It's going to be Caleb Farrell with a win. Alexander Rowe's going to bring it home second. Third place for William Flickinger and Chris Maley there in fourth. So 3 Toyotas in the top 4. Simon Salera, great run there in 5th. Then it's Nathan Stapleton 6th. 7th for Alex Gray. Levi McIntire in 8th. 9th was Jesse Turner. And completing your top 10 was Fury Gamington. 2 of the cars out of, and I forgot the name, the 83 and the 84. I forgot what the team name is all of a sudden. I'll look it up here. But we also had 2 Toyotas out of Otter Island Motorsports that also went to, it finished in the top 10 with the 72 of Stapleton and the 77 of Turner, and I don't have the list in front of me of the teams. I apologize. I know that the 83 and the 84 are teammates. I just don't, off the top of my head, remember what the team name is, and it almost popped into my head, but nope, I don't have it. Let's take a look at the rest outside the top 10 there. You got Vince Almariego, great run for him there in 11th. Simon Bloomfield, enough fuel to finish in 12th. 13th for Josh Drake, 14th for John Andrews, 15th was Charles Sanford, Carson Gum, 16th, 17th was Trey Wright. 18th, William Brock. 19th, Patrick Smith. And Jeff Scott completed your top 20. Then it was Eric Sadler in 21st. Basically, these drivers had damage and finished way back from the rest of the lead pack. Jordan Lopez, 22nd. 23rd, Rob Evans. 24th, Alex Benyako. 25th, Cody Llamas. Those two obviously having to make the unscheduled pit stop. James Shelly managed to finish last car in the lead lap just ahead of the leaders in 26th. And then one car, one lap down was Michael Norman in the 3. I think he also had to come to pit road before the event came to a close. And then you look on down, the rest of the drivers from Dylan Young on down that finished out of the race. Those drivers will be looking to bounce back next week as we are going to be heading to Armory Digital. So that's going to be a really exciting race, and we'll see both divisions there. We'll have our qualifying sessions to qualify for the pole for both divisions, and then both divisions will compete in their second race of the season. So right now, for Division 1, we've got a possible representative for the playoffs in Brady Burkhart, and in Division 2, we've got a possible representative for the playoffs in Caleb Farrell. Question is, will they remain so by the time we get done with the rest of the regular season? Thank you all for tuning to today's race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We have shown you full page results, and these are your overall point standings heading into next week's weekend at Armory Digital Super Speedway. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, Offline Racing at its best.